This is how you play an A major scale, 2 octaves, hands together. Place your hands as if you're going to play the A major scale in each hand. And the first thing we're going to do is find our anchor notes. Because the hands have to cross over at different times, we want to find where the hands are doing the exact same thing. Play your first 3 notes of the scale. And you found our first anchor note. Both hands have 3s on C sharps. Right after this anchor note, right hand's going to cross under, and then left hand's going to cross over. And now we found our second and final anchor note, F sharp, because both hands have 3s on the F sharp. After this, it's just about playing the remaining note in the scale, G sharp, and then crossing into A again to do the whole thing all over again. The only difference is, because left hand's starting A on 1 instead of 5, you're going to have to remember to cross over with your forefinger. Go up to your next anchor note, C sharp, and then make the crosses necessary to get to your next anchor note, F sharp. Now left hand crosses. And then at this point, we're at the top of the scale. So let's go through that again, but we're going to sprint to our anchor notes. Remember, 3s on C sharps, 3s on F sharps. Those are our anchors. 1, 2, 3, 4, sprint to C sharp, sprint to F sharp, sprint all the way up to the next C sharp, sprint up to F sharp, sprint up and back down to F sharp, sprint down to C sharp, sprint down to F sharp, sprint down to C sharp, and now finish out the scale. I'm going to turn the metronome on to 60 to see how exam ready we are. While I'm getting that metronome ready, make sure your hands are started on a nice natural curve hand shape. 1, te, 2, te, 3, te, go, te. This is how you play the A major arpeggio, 2 octaves, hands together. Like the scale, we want to find our anchor notes. So let's go ahead and place our hands as if we're going to play the arpeggio. And play those first 3 notes of the arpeggio, A, C sharp, E. Now, the right hand's ready to cross, and the left hand's just ready to place 1 on A. And we've found our only anchor note. It's the A in the middle because both 1s are on it. Left hand's ready to cross after that, so let's go up to the top of the arpeggio. And then when we come down, the only anchor, left hand has to cross to, 1's on A. And then right hand's ready to cross. Let's do that again, but let's sprint to our anchor note in the middle. Remember, 1's on A. Place your hands to begin. 1, 2, 3, sprint to A. Now sprint up and back down to A. And then finish out the arpeggio. While I'm turning on the metronome to see how exam ready we are, practice those arm movements that you know you're going to need to be able to play this at 8th notes. Now place your hands, and remember, those arms don't move that fast, they just constantly move. 1, te, 2, te, 3, te. This is how you play the A major inversions, hands together. Like any inversions, you're going to start in the root position chord for A major. So go ahead and play the root position chord with your 1, 3s, and 5s. As we progress through these inversions, we're going to be using the same notes over and over and over, we're just changing the order. And occasionally, instead of using 3 in the middle, we'll be using 2 in the middle. Each hand will get a turn doing that. Let's go to our first inversion. To do that, release the bottom note and use those fingers to kind of spider crawl your way to C sharp, E. Notice my right hand is using 2 in the middle. And now your 1 and your 5 are free to move that A on top. And this is our first inversion. Notice that the C sharp now gets a turn being on the bottom, and the root, or the name of the chord, is on top. To get to our next inversion, you're going to let go of that bottom note. You're going to spider crawl your way up to E, A. Notice my left hand's using 2 in the middle, but my right hand went back to using 3 in the middle. So they took turns. And now your 1 and 5 are free to put C sharp on top. Go ahead and play that second inversion. Notice the root, or the name of our chord, is in the middle. And now the 5th of the chord has a turn being on the bottom. To get to our root position up top, once again, let go of that bottom note. Spider crawl your fingers to replace the other notes. Notice both hands have gone back to 3s in the middle. And now your 1 and 5 are free to move that E on top. And that's our root position. As we come down, you're going to do the opposite. Instead of letting go of the bottom note, you're going to let go of the top note and spider crawl your way down. Let go of the top note, spider crawl your way down, right? So when we're going this way, let go of the bottom note so you can continue going that way. When you're coming this way, let go of the top note so you can continue going that way. Let's go through that again, but this time we're going to say what we're moving. 1, 2, 3, 4. Start on root. Move A to the top. Move C sharp to the top. Move E to the top. Move E to the bottom. Move C sharp to the bottom. Move A to the bottom. Let's go ahead and turn on the metronome. See how exam ready we are? While I'm doing that, practice those wrist drop and lift movements that you're going to need to move from inversion to inversion. Starting on root position. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is how you play the A minor inversions, hands together. A minor, like A major, is going to release the bottom note, shift, move that bottom note up top. Release the bottom, move it up top, release the bottom, move it up top, and then when we're ready to come down, release the top, move it down bottom. The only difference is, between A major and A minor, is that lowered third. So instead of C sharp, we're going to use C. As we move, we're still going to take the same exact notes and just rearrange them. All right, starting with the root position, play that for me. Make sure your 3s are on C natural. To go to first inversion, release that bottom note, spider crawl your way to the notes that we didn't move. Notice right hand's using 2 in the middle, move that A on top. And there's your first inversion. To get to second inversion, release that bottom note, spider crawl your way to the other notes that are still going to be the same. Notice left hand 2 is now going to be in the middle, and right hand 3 went back. And move that C on top. To get to our root position again, release that bottom note, spider crawl your way to the other notes. Notice both hands have gone back to 3s being in the middle. And move that E on top. To get back down, you're going to do the opposite. Release that top note so you're free to move down. And move that top note back down to the bottom. So release the top, move it down to the bottom. Release that top, move it down to the bottom. Let's go through that again, but this time let's say what's going to move. 1, 2, 3, 4. Start in root position. Move A on top. Move C on top. Move E to the top. E to bottom. C to bottom. A to bottom. And let's turn on the metronome, and while I am, practice those wrist drop and lift movements that you're going to need to propel you from one chord to the next position. Start on root position. 1, 2, ready, play. Sorry for my goof. To be completely honest, I was thinking about food. All right. This is how you play the A major 1, 6, 4, 2, 5, 7, 1 chord progression. Like the other chord progressions, we're not going to start in root position, we're going to start in first inversion. So if you place it right, you have C sharp on bottom, because that's the third of the chord, E in the middle, and then A, the root, on top. And you're also using your right hand 2 in the middle. And there's our 1 chord. Now, as we progress through these chords, we're going to be moving one note at a time usually, but it's going to be moving to another note in the scale. So if we have any C's, F's, or G's, they're going to be sharped because they are in the scale. To get to our 6th chord, since in A major, the 6th note is F sharp, we just need to move our middle note up a step to F sharp and play. The other notes get to remain because they're in the F sharp minor chord. To get to our 4 chord, the 4th note in A major is D. So C sharp just needs to move up to D. And then my left hand 3 needs to adjust to play that F sharp, but that F sharp stays. And play that D major chord. Our next chord is the 2 chord. The 2nd note in A major is B. So we just need to take our A, top note, and move it up to B. The other notes can remain because they're in the B minor chord, but this is first inversion, so I'm going to use my right hand 2 in the middle and play that B minor chord. Our next chord is 5-7. The 5th note in A is E, and the notes in the 5-7 chord are E, G sharp, B, and then a 7th above E, D. So we already have D and B. We just need an E. So move that middle note F sharp down to E. And play that crunchy 5-7. And then to get back to the 1, well, the first note is A, so we need an A, a C sharp, and an E. We already have an E. We need to take our outside notes and move them down. So D moves to C sharp, B moves to A, and then left hand is going to adjust and use 3 in the middle because this is the first inversion chord. And we're back to 1. Let's go through that again, but we're going to say how each chord moves. We're not going to say anything for the ones that stay the same. 1, 2, 3. Start on 1 first inversion. Middle note goes up. Bottom note goes up. Top note goes up. Middle note goes down. Outside move down. While I'm turning on the metronome, practice those wrist drop lift movements to get you from one chord to the next, especially when you have to change fingers, because you can just land on the right fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is how you play the A major 1, 4, 1, 6, 4, 2, 5, 7, 1 chord progression, but the bass line. So we just did the parallel, and the bass line is pretty much the same. Right hand's going to do the exact same thing. Left hand is just going to play the name of each chord, or the name of each Roman numeral. For example, the first Roman numeral is 1, so I've moved my left hand to a more 1-friendly position, A major 5-finger pattern. Now I'm going to play the 1, the first note of the scale. Now when we go to the 6th chord in the right hand, I'm just going to play the 6th note of the scale on the left. So look, my thumb just moves up. None of my other fingers have to move, because my thumb is opposable. So the 6th note is F sharp, so that's all I do. Now for the 4, I just play the 4th note of the scale in the left hand, which is D. For the 2, well, the 2nd note is B, so that's what I'm going to play in my left hand. For the 5, 7, the 5th note of the scale is E, so that's what I'm going to play in my left hand. And then to go back to 1, I just return to the first note of the scale on my left, A. Now, the other way that you can think of it is, the name of each chord is what my left hand is playing. So the 1 chord is A major, so my left hand's going to play an A. My 6th chord is F sharp minor, so my left hand's going to play an F sharp. Notice I only moved my thumb. My 4 chord is D major, so my left hand's going to play D. My 2 chord is B minor, so my left hand plays B. My 5, 7 is E7, so my left hand plays E. And then I just go back to 1, A, for the last chord. Let's go through that again, saying the Roman numerals. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 6, 4, 2, 5, 7, 1. And you can also go back and say the chord names if that's helpful to you. Then turn on metronome, see how exam ready we are. 1, 2, 3,